Welcome to another edition of Ipsos Creative Excellence Creative Corner. It's summer, isn't it? Well, I would say get real. As where I am right now, it's Hamburg. And I know, Adam, you're on the outskirts of London, so you probably have the same weather as myself here, but Arnaud, you're really where it is real and probably much better in the south of France. So Arnaud, seriously, you wrote a paper recently entitled Get Real, Get Creative. And I think we'll probably dive into that a little bit today, as it's such an awesome topic and very relevant for advertisers and marketers in today's world, where most advertising, to paraphrase Ogilvy, are like ships passing in the night. And most people don't remember advertising they're supposedly seen or been exposed to recently, especially if we ask them for ads they've seen in the past few days. But there are three ads we'd like to discuss today. One from Nike, which is called the Fairies. One from Oscar Mayer in the States, which is about sausages, or Wurst, as I would say in Hamburg. And the third one comes from McDonald's, entitled Steal My Fries. So let's start with Adam on Nike, the Fairies.
Yeah, thanks very much, Shaun. I'll reflect on our own reactions to that ad before we reflect on the responses of regular people that don't think about advertising a lot. And I just thought it was a beautiful piece of film, blends fantasy and the Walt Disney, of course, song, the characters of animation with the real world, you could say, and an urban setting and a real contrast there. So I thought it was a really great piece of film that I would have expected would entertain people and be well received, just as a piece of content rather than advertising. And in terms of what the numbers say, rather than my own opinion, it's interesting because it's not necessarily a strong performer in terms of memory encoding. It isn't that strongly linked to the brand, and it is really interesting when we look at people's experience of that ad, those immediate emotional responses to the ad, and which we know a positive emotional response can be the gateway of memory encoding, to therefore give an advertiser the opportunity to influence behavior and choices. And what we actually see is somewhat of a relatively flat response emotionally. There's no real positive arc or build over time, and also, as many people are surprised as demonstrating a positive emotional experience. So it seems like they're not quite sure what they're watching, and perhaps this experience they have, this unique, surprising experience that comes across, isn't necessarily rooted in reality for people, which I guess links to what you've been writing about, Arnaud, with Get Real and needing to represent that reality.
Yeah, exactly, Adam. And I think that's a very interesting case because, at first glance, it's, a beautifully crafted piece of creative. But that's one of the key lessons that we try to highlight in Get Real, Get Creative, is that it's super important that when you tell a strongly creative story, it somehow resonates, it connects back to your experience, connects back to the brand, it connects back to what you know and what you can understand about the story. And here, I would say that's the challenge. The first challenge is that because the creative idea is all about telling that's that modern fairy tale about that skateboarder from Brazil who is born in Brazil and could be the next princess in skateboarding. The first thing is that because they execute that fairy tale codes, it sounds a lot more like Disney, than your usual Nike ad. So the first challenge is that some people struggle in linking that back to Nike. And the second thing is that it seems that a lot of people are, missing the intent, missing exactly that. That it's about telling this fairy tale about that skateboarder born in the suburbs of Brazil and would be a rising star. And people just don't grasp that. They just see sequences of images with this young lady skating, and that's it. So they completely miss the overarching idea, and that's where it's a bit disconnecting with the audience.
No, absolutely. I just wanted to say what Adam said earlier. I love that ad. But as you said, I know this discussion that we're just having right now reminds me that the folks out there on the street have the last say, and I'm not always right, which is why we do research. Which brings me to another ad that caught my eye from Oscar Mayer for a sausage, as I said, a Wurst brand from Kraft Heinz. And it's their declaration or their announcement that they indeed want to be more creative, be more bold, and basically create more effective advertising. And as I said, it caught my attention. It reminded me of some of my Prime Video episodes that I've seen of late. But I love the idea of this kid roasting her Wurst with her superpowers from her eyes. And as I said, it reminded me of a specific superhero on Amazon Prime Video. But Adam, what is the verdict and the jury on this one?
Certainly a stronger performer than Nike in terms of memory encoding and brand linkage, and I think when we deconstruct the responses, what we see is that it's the result of two things. Like, one is the use of the familiar, so that Oscar Mayer yellow color. The use of the logo. The brand is actually fairly prominent in what's quite a short piece of film, and those distinctive assets, I think, probably are contributing, fueling some of that memory encoding. But also, this is clearly a very off the wall piece of creative. It's very entertaining, and it's clearly enjoyed. The positive emotional response that we observe, those immediate emotional responses, the arc really builds over time quite nicely towards the end of the ad, and we've seen via more robust evidence outside of individual cases that if you have a positive emotional response that builds over time, more often than not, you will have strong brand attention. So a much stronger performer on that side of things. However, in terms of influencing choices, it's somewhat of a similar dynamic to Nike, where the possible effect to influence those short-term choices to be that brand that rises to the top at the moment of choice or consumption is slightly below norm. And as is, by the way, people feeling that this brand is somewhat relevant to them, a brand for them, which I think, again, comes back to this theme that you're writing about, Arnaud, that importance of relevancy and reality.
Yeah, exactly, Adam. I think that you just framed it perfectly. A bit of the issue with that piece of creative is that while it's super arresting, right? It's really short and striking in many different ways. It's not telling you anything or anything really clearly about what the brand is or what the brand stands for. So it's certainly, making people aware of Oscar Mayer and the fact they are doing these sausages. But what does it tell you about it? How can you relate to that and, get something out for you out of it? It's what is missing. So, if their task or their job is to just create some top of mind awareness for Oscar Mayer, certainly that is working. If they want to do something more, then and build something about the brand or give you more reasons to choose the brand, then maybe it's not there. Of course, it's really crazy and striking visuals, but maybe you should demand a bit more from it and from advertising in that case.
Absolutely. So these are two very, very interesting ads, guys. But let's focus on one that surely has what it takes, and one that certainly caught my attention. I thought it was very, very good, and was from McDonald's, as I said at the start, called "Steal My Fries." And I think this definitely is the business honor. I mean, closer to what you would have written about in your paper, I think. Is it really real?
Yeah, definitely. I think that this is a perfect example. Here, there is a real insight. First of all, they connect to the particular context of the times that people have been living so much, inside that they miss, these gatherings and the fact of getting together again in different places. And when you think about McDonald's, of course, you could still order McDonald's through Uber during the lockdown, but could not enjoy McDonald's as a place. So they wanted to remind people of that. And what happens in McDonald's is that you get together with friends and you eat together. And the typical topic, which is the topic of this ad, is that inevitably, you are going to have fries, and your neighbor, your friend, your daughter, your son is going to try and grab them. And that's something that is so much MACD, so much ingrained, and a great symbol of the enjoyable times or the little things that you could miss because of COVID. And here it's captured, and that's the starting point of this crazy song and crazy musical, and it's just brilliant. So they use a real insight just to dial it up, create attention, and revive these missed emotions that you could have in going to McDonald's and having people stealing your fries. Although you shouldn't steal my fries, Shaun, because I wouldn't be very happy about it otherwise. But yeah, we can go to MACD together. What do you think, Adam? Would you go to MACD?
Yeah, well, I was there a few days ago, in fact, and there was a bit of fries stealing. I won't name who it was, but yeah, on the ad itself, I just love the fact that it's for an ad that references the conditions or the emergence out of COVID, the COVID world. It takes that light-hearted, humorous approach, and it really, in some respects, reminds me of what Budweiser did with What's Up. And we saw from our evidence that taking that more light-hearted approach in the right way, rooted in the reality of the conditions that people face, can actually be effective versus just talking about COVID in a very bland way of empty streets, people looking out of windows, etc. So a unique approach, but one, again, back to the theme of your paper, that just is rooted in the reality of the conditions that people are in, and in a way is like trying to help them in those conditions. In this case, the emergence out of COVID and getting back into restaurants.
Fabulous, and it's a great discussion indeed. Thank you both, and I think you said it, Adam, referencing Arnaud's paper. So if the audience are interested in reading that paper, it's got a lot of great examples in there of some of the research we've done, and Arnaud, you've referenced several cases in that paper as well. So again, it's called Get Real, Get Creative. We'll post a link at the bottom of this video so you can click to the paper. Arnaud also has a very cool video with him and his purple Crocs. So definitely hope you've enjoyed the video and the Creative Corner again. Thanks very much, Arnaud and Adam. It was a great discussion. Until next time.
Yes, exactly. It's time for lunch now. Huh? We can go to McDonald's, I guess.
For sure.
Or maybe have some
Absolutely.
sausages. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Ciao.
Cheers, bye.